So visiting sick folks can be intimidating, particularly for young guys walking into a situation where there's a crisis. Maybe the person is suffering, or certainly their family members are suffering alongside them. And so it can be intimidating. But it also, I've found it to be surprising in an encouraging way at times as well. So what wisdom would you have for people, for pastors, to push past the awkwardness of it, and then just to realize it's a wonderful opportunity to minister to them and to be ministered to as well?
Yeah, I think the key to it is just to do it. You know, I think it's like a lot of things. If you're scared of something or if something feels awkward to you, you just kind of have to press yourself and do it. I was incredibly fortunate. My father was a family doc for 45 years before he retired. And I have memories of being 11, 12, 13 years old, and my dad would take me on house calls. And he would take me to the hospital to do rounds. He was still one of the last docs I knew when he retired of who would go to people's homes. And my dad became a Christian. I remember, I was old enough to remember when that switch happened. And I watched him as a doc spiritually care for people and physically care for people. And that just was etched in my mind as a boy and as a young teenager. And it made it very natural then, when I became a pastor, to be familiar with those areas. Obviously, most people don't get that opportunity and privilege, but that's still the key, I think, is you got to just make yourself go to the hospital. You got to put yourself in those uncomfortable environments. And so I think that's the first thing. And then the second thing that they have to do is you have to just think about some of the basic things to do. That's why a resource like this, or just even a short book about Visit the Sick, can have such an impact, because a lot of times it's those basic practical things that you don't know about hospital life, and what are sick people going through if you've never been in the hospital before. Just understanding those things as a pastor informs you, and I think takes the fear away, takes the uncomfortability out of it. Is that what you have found when you go to the hospital as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. Being comfortable. So do the preparation to try to learn as much as you can, and then of course pray that the Lord would help you to have a peace. But very often in those moments, for you to come in and your presence means so much, but then just your comfortable presence means so much.
Yeah.
There's a lot they're concerned about, a lot they're worried about. They may be concerned about test results or the circumstance specifically, or for themselves or for their family member. And just have somebody come in with a calm demeanor and a trust, and it's not just calm in ourselves, but it is that we're resting in the Lord, that we're trusting in Him, and to convey that both in what we say, of course, but then in our demeanor can be an important part of it.
I appreciate you bringing up what we call the ministry of presence, because the number one thing that happens when guys go into hospitals, one, they think they have to talk all the time. Yeah. That's a lot of times the way we respond when we're in uncomfortable moments.
Right.
But we think we have to have this long conversation with the person. And if a pastor can come to realize how much just his comfortable presence, you said that well, because the awkward presence is awkward.
It doesn't help anybody.
So
right.
That doesn't help.
Yeah.
But a comfortable presence, I'm here just to be with you. We don't have to talk the whole time. And I think that becomes just a really comforting thing for the person who's there. Because if you've ever been in the hospital and you've ever been laying in a bed, probably haven't bathed in days, you got tubes coming out of you, whatever it is, that's not the time to entertain, which, by the way, I want to reemphasize what most have probably already read about in some way, and that's short stays in the hospital. When you go to somebody's home, you'll stay 45 minutes. That's normal. But I'm a big advocate of 5 to 10 minutes of a stay in the hospital. Make your presence known, come to show that you care for them, and pray for them, read scripture with them, but then leave. And I think that feels awkward to some people, because they don't go to somebody's home and do that. They don't really go anywhere to do that. But I want to stress that time has really tested that in my own ministry and others to be very, very true. That's a common mistake pastors make. Does that make sense to you? Do you agree with that?
It doesn't feel as abrupt to them as it might to you.
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
Might feel abrupt as you walk out after a few minutes. But for them, the fact that you showed up and that you brought a calming presence or a comforting presence, and then the scripture and prayer, it's more than sufficient in that moment.
Yeah, that's well said.